go ahead and call to order this meeting of the Greenfield Conservation Commission at 6:37 p.m. on July 26, 2022. All commissioners are present with the exception of Erica, who is absent and gave notice that she would be absent. A note that this meeting is being held virtually, and if any technical interruption occurs and the meeting suddenly ends, it will not be resumed tonight, and all items will be automatically continued to the next scheduled meeting date. Also, this meeting is being recorded by the Conservation Commission, and if anyone else is recording the meeting, you are required to let me, as the chair, know. Hearing none, I will assume no one is recording. And first on the agenda is approval of meeting minutes, July 12th, 2022. If there are no objections, we could approve the minutes.
Sorry, I'm still reading them really quick.
Oh, that's okay. I will give you a second. I actually failed to read them until like 2 minutes before the meeting too. So
Yeah, this is a long one.
got all the good juicy details in there.
I'll motion to accept the minutes for July 12th.
Yep.
Am I reading the right ones? 2022.
Yep. All right. A motion made by Kristen. Is there a second?
I'll second.
A second by Rachel. And is there any further discussion on the minutes? Well, hearing none, we can do a roll call vote on approving the minutes. Kristen?
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
Fletcher?
Aye.
And I am also an aye. All right, so that motion passes unanimously and with one absent. And the minutes are approved. So next on the agenda, we have no public meetings or hearings today. So our first item of business under other business is Griswold/GTD Conservation Area Trail Maintenance. And I know Fletcher just put something together. I don't know if you want to present that, Fletcher, or how you want to do that.
Yeah, I can present it. I had some trouble sharing it through Google Drive, so
Okay.
hopefully it's yeah, easy to share over Zoom and still legible, but just give me a minute to set that up.
All right, and just for anyone who's in the meeting while he's doing that, who isn't aware, we've been talking about doing some, trail maintenance activities on this property this year. We kind of thought about picking a property per year and evaluating what it needs and trying to get that done. And this is the property we're looking at this year.
Can anybody speak at any time? Like, I'm watching this meeting, so.
Yeah, I mean,
I was interested in helping volunteer. If you're gonna, my name's Ruth. I was been trying to get to meetings, but been really busy with the whole town council thing. Yeah, and I'm the one, I brought up GTD way earlier in the season. I go hiking out there sometimes and running and skiing and notice a lot more trees now. To me, not a big job because I do trail maintenance and I'm part of NEMBA. I'm a mountain biker, I'm a hiker. I know there's no mountain biking out there, which is great, but easy cleanup. There's a couple other maintenance things that could be done in terms of, I don't know if you'd be interested in any planking for spring hiking, because people are starting to thread the trails and go around, because there's 4 or 5 sites that are wet. Of course, you won't know it now, but
Yeah.
in the spring you can mark them. And that long bridge is starting to list on one side. But I think all fairly easy stuff. For me, I run a chainsaw. I know I didn't do anything because it's Greenfield land. I don't think anybody's cleared those trees yet. I don't know. I haven't been out in a while.
Yeah, so I'll just add that we in the spring we did a site visit out there and kind of documented where all the wet areas were and things like that. And Fletcher and I were actually just out there on Saturday, and someone has cleared the trees.
Good.
Fletcher, I think, went on more trails after I left, so maybe there were some still that were down, but on like the main trail that we went on, we didn't see any trees.
Oh, somebody did clear them. Then it wasn't me, but I thought about it. I didn't know if that would be okay to do, but I guess what you don't know wouldn't hurt you. But, and it would be done. I do a lot of trail work. My sister owns 20 some acres out here, and the neighbor owns another 30 or 40, and I just keep their network open. I don't do any digging, but I nip for spring and fall. I nip ends so the trails stay open, and I have built a couple on my sister's land, but nothing that, erosion's always an issue, but nothing that's huge, just for walking. So somebody mentioned that you were looking to hire someone to do maintenance out there, a company or something. And my 2 cents is that sounds ridiculous, because it seems like a lot of money that's money that I feel like a volunteer group could easily watch. Or it's like Highland Park has Friends of Highland Parks. I don't know if you watch that Facebook group, but it's extremely active. And there's some wonderful people out at that park. My issue is nobody is overseeing some things. For instance, I don't know if you've gone up to lately, and I haven't gone up there in a few weeks, but people keep stringing ropes and ropes and ropes to get to that platform. And they're going to kill the trees. They just are girthing the trees. And I tore a bunch down. Somebody put them all back up. And they videoed themselves putting them all up. And I actually texted them and said, you're liable once you do that. You should be going through the town. There used to be a chain there that was done properly. You could grab the chain and get up there. But there was one way up. Now there's like 8 ways up, and the erosion is taking over because people keep just, whatever.
Well,
but the ropes, I feel like should, I don't know. It's a hazard, and I think should be considered in some kind of plan or something that go to the platform.
So we actually fairly recently there was some uncertainty about who is in charge of managing Temple Woods, and we actually contacted the mayor and got a legal opinion that the office of the mayor is the manager of that property, and we were told if there are any issues related to that property that we should direct people to the mayor's office.
Okay, well, good luck me with that, but I'll try it.
Well, that
gives you my opinion, but that's my opinion of that. But hey, I can try, and I feel like the ropes are a huge liability. I guess the town isn't putting them up, but people are putting them up, and they're killing the trees, and they just keep doing it. And I don't know if there's a way to stop that, and hard to police it, but I don't know.
So I don't know if you can see Fletcher's sharing a map.
I see the map, but it's nice.
Yeah, I can take us through real quick.
It's a wonderful little place to walk, hike.
Yeah.
Trail run. It's a great loops for trail running.
Definitely. Yeah, so like Travis said, all the trees that were marked on the previous map were cleared. Except for one at photo point 2. And that tree is a multi-stem. I think it's a maple that fell across sort of the wider part of the trail.
Yeah, I know exactly that one. Yeah, that's the biggest
Okay.
one out there, pretty much, that went down.
Yeah, so that one,
That's still
okay.
there?
Yeah, that's still there, and that could definitely, be sawed and moved that way, and probably should be regardless. But there's also this section of trail right beside that section of trail. So there's a way around it. But this one looks like it's prone to being wet in the wet season. All these sticks out here.
Yeah.
So I think this would either require some type of modification or a way to get across that wet area if we wanted to reroute it. It is nicer in that it's single track, but yeah, regardless, we're probably going to want to clear this tree. So
I can take care of that tree if you. I know you're probably not going to give me permission to do that, but I can take care of that tree.
That's awesome. We should talk about. Why don't I go through these, and then at the end, are you able to stay for?
Yeah, I can stay for a little while. I want to throw one more thing out. If you're looking at putting in small bridges or planking, I have a friend who runs a business down in Deerfield, and he's an engineer, and he makes these amazing brackets that you slide a 4x4 in. You can do it 4 feet, 6 feet, really 12 feet is the max, because you have, 4x4s are probably the max is 12 feet. You might be able to get 16, but and you get PT. So the PT doesn't touch the ground the way he makes these brackets. So you slide the 4x4 in and then you plank it. They're really cool, amazing, simple bridges. If you're ever interested, he can, I don't even think he'd charge much or what for these brackets that you make, that you slide the 4x4s in and plank them for bridging. It's very cool. I have a couple on my sister's property here. They're very easy to put in. They're very durable. And you don't have the PT wood that you put in the 4x4 doesn't touch the earth, which is beneficial, of course. It's not sitting in the dirt. But anyway,
do you know the name of the company or something, so I could look that
yeah.
up?
His name is, his company is this, he does speaker systems, and he's done a lot of rigging for, well, he's done a ton of it for major events, the Rams Stadium and all that. They make speaker brackets for massive, all kinds of steel projects. And his name is Mike Akrep, A-K-R-E-P. You'll find him on Facebook and whatever. He's all over the place. He's a big cyclist, which I am. And his business is called Polar Focus. And they are right on 5 and 10. He just makes those on the side for NEMBA or for anybody that might want them on their property. He gave me mine. And he has, it's basically massive tons of steel, and he makes these things, and they're really cool. He has them coated, once they don't rust. They're very nice. Anyway, just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
If you want to see them sometime, I could show them to you.
Cool. Yeah, if you have any photos, I don't know if Travis, you see it on the website, but it'd be good to see that in picture.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm envisioning like a punch-in, like with like the planks on the top and then the sills underneath. Are you kind of talking about like a punch-in?
Well, he makes these steel brackets that you slide the 4x4s through. They're steel, and you slide so if they go lengthwise. If you're looking at the bridge, they're on either side, and they slide through these 4x4 steel planks, and then you have steel squares. I think that have a little lip on them, so that steel sits on the ground. It's coated, and then the planks go side. You just plank it. I put 2 up on my property. It's so easy. I have to show you a picture. A little hard to explain, but he just designed these, and NEMBA uses them once in a while, or private property people that might. I'm trying to get the word out, because I just think they're really great and simple bridges to put in. And a lot of people don't want the PT touching the ground, and it doesn't. If you're over creeks or whatever, I'll get you a picture.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, you could take a look at them.
Nice. Yeah, because we were definitely envisioning for the wet areas something not too intensive.
Right.
Like something maybe like a bog bridge or stepping stones or something low
Yeah,
key.
yes, yeah, some of that can be armored.
Yeah.
I will tell you that I know you can't mountain bike out there, which I think is great, but if you contact, I'm sure NEMBA, there's a lot of trail experts with NEMBA. Are you familiar with that group, New England
Yep.
Mountain Bike Association, right? I am sure they would be happy with advice, or they'd go out there and help you armor trails, even though it's not mountain biking. Help you arm. There's some experts that actually have gone to a lot of trail school programs and know how to build trails. There are people that don't, but that know how to armor trails and know how to build trails without erosion issues, or how to help you fix those issues. And they would volunteer their time, I'm sure of it.
Cool. All right, so let me just take us through real quick. We saw the tree. That was kind of point 2, but let me just start from one here. That's not the one. Okay. So as you enter from the parking lot, we saw the wet depression there. That's still there. It's maybe 20 feet long, 12 feet wide, 10 inches deep. And I think Travis, or you or someone mentioned that Lincoln had said adjacent areas were filled with stone, crushed stone, and we were thinking about the same thing for this.
Yeah. When we did a site visit with Lincoln, he said that his recollection was that the trail up to that spot had been like filled in with some kind of stone. I don't know what size. And then he said this is probably where the stone ended, and this was what the stone was fixing originally. So
Okay.
this
Is that ATV tracks? Or?
It's right next to some farm fields, so
I see.
we didn't necessarily
I see
check
where
the
you're
track
at.
types, but it's probably it's probably
I see where you're at, right at the beginning.
Yeah.
maybe something farm related there.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
So we were thinking of that potentially using some stone. Maybe we'll get some more details from Lincoln just to see what kind, but it should be fairly inexpensive, and I think we can get a pickup back there and shovel it in. And the compression part might be a little tougher, but not a big deal either way. And I've bought stone from Lane, what used to be Lane Construction's plant, and it's now Northeast Paving. I don't know if their policies have changed as far as selling to the public, but I imagine not. So that would be a fairly inexpensive fix if they do still sell and deliver.
Are you looking for like bigger stone or little stone? Big stone?
I know the largest stone we'd probably be looking for is like what I know is a TRG base. So I think that's like 1 3/4 or so max width. But then crushed stone sort of to go on top to compact, I assume, unless Lincoln thought the rest was filled in with dirt. I'm not sure about that part. But I think we need a little more details on what they used nearby, because it seems to have worked. So so then we saw the tree. It's a little further up. So that's right there before the trail splits. This yellow track is the one that I think most of us were on back in November of 2021. So I just put that on for reference because I think it's how we kind of have been orienting ourselves. But red point is just an arrow missing. But as far as further photos go, point 3 is that long grassy wet area. So it was pretty inundated when we saw it before, and now it's still it's solidified somewhat, but it's still uneven from things passing through when it was wet. And it's 110 feet long roughly by our measurement, and as far as we know, vehicles need to be able to pass through, I assume, for the fields nearby. But it looked like to put like a bog bridge or really any type of like foot passageway across that, you would need to sort of clear a little vegetation on the side, probably this side. It's lighter, and put that in. But since it's 110 feet, we looked further to the side, and there was already like a rough cut trail in these woods over here. And so we figured it would be maybe the best solution to try to get over to that area and sort of reroute foot traffic that way. The challenge being that if someone comes up to this intersection here, we need to sort of make it apparent where the foot traffic should go. And so if you look at this second picture, Travis is standing right at what you would see kind of popping out from the left side here. And so there's this fern. It wasn't very wet when we were there, but I'm assuming it gets wet based on some of the vegetation and sort of the topography there. So we figured it'd be easier to span 20 or 30 feet here and put the trail where it is drier on the backside.
And that would basically be connecting to a trail that someone has already started making and using back there. And there are even flags hung in the trees, like noting where the trail is through there.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not necessarily 100% dry on that trail. There may be, small little sections needed to be with a bog bridge or some type of stepping stone, but it was much more manageable than that long wet section and no vehicle traffic. So yeah, so that one, maybe a little more planning required, but it seemed like a viable option to go behind that way. And so that was that area. So going by our sort of original trip, number 4 was just one of the stream crossing, or I should say the stream crossing. And that was about 15 feet wide. And so this would be a, potential bog bridge or stepping stone situation, something like that. And photo 5 is just around the corner. I'm assuming it's the same stream. And that one's about 24 feet wide, but really the same situation. And then photo point 6, I don't think we've been down this trail much, but it has, hard to see in the photo, but the trail comes down this way from the left and it takes a left-hand turn and it crosses like the widest section of stream there. So this must be like at least 30 feet or 20 something feet across that way. And that, doesn't seem like a very viable option to bridge that, but right here, if you can see my mouse, it's much more narrow, and we're talking more in line with the other parts of the stream we were trying to bridge before. You can see it in this picture. It's just a little further up the trail to the left in that last picture, and you can see it's much more narrow here, and it looked like a viable path to span to continue on with the trail. So that would just be the same situation, either a bog bridge or a stepping stone or something like that. Yeah, and so this is, if you look at the brown trail track, that's the ground I covered when I went out there, and that matches the trail map that Lincoln had put up, minus the exit over here. And let's see, so out of all that area, the only issues I saw are the ones noted on this map, because the trees have been cleared, and there weren't any like other significant stream crossings that I noticed or muddy areas. I will say this doesn't include some of the signage issues that we talked about, just because those are pretty numerous, and sort of there's some questions as to how we'll address those. But as far as stewardship, immediate issues, this seemed to be pretty comprehensive based on this track. And there are other trails on the property. But, you know, these are the main ones. Again, this is what's on the trail map. And yeah, so that's about as far as we got on that day. And Mitch, did you get a response from any other groups that were interested in assisting? Or
Seems like the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts, I don't think they're going to come to a meeting. I think they just
Okay.
want direction on like what to do and where.
got it? Okay.
That's
I could definitely pull together, you know, how many do you want? For
Boy
help.
Scouts
I mean,
or people?
No, adults.
Got it.
And I would probably all be mountain bike type people. They're always very eager when it comes to trails or helping clean place up. And they'd be well aware this isn't a mountain bike location.
Mhm.
It's not, no one would want to go there anyway. It's too small. We like bigger places. But it's beautiful. It's wonderful for hiking. I love that there aren't mountain bikes out there because there's lots of dogs and people walking. Are there horses out there too?
Yeah.
Sometimes?
yeah.
Yeah. So I like that there's no mountain bikes. Even though I'm a rider, I think that's great that it's not for that. But I certainly could get together a small trail crew to help out when you decide if you're going to have how you're going to handle it.
I
Great.
have a couple of comments. So one is clearly this existing trail crosses through several jurisdictional resource areas and other areas which may or may not be jurisdictional and that are wet. And when trails cross wet areas, hikers tend to walk around them, which leads to trail braiding and soil compaction and erosion and wetland widening and all kinds of issues. So I'm all for protecting resource areas, putting in protection measures. But my second comment is, will that require permitting? I mean, these are existing trails and it's maintenance on an existing trail. But if we're doing things like adding crushed stone to it, if it's jurisdictional, or punch in or anything like that, is that something that we need to actually permit?
Travis has great info on that. Do you want to relay that?
Yeah, I'll give me a second and I'll
he-
actually find what I was looking for. But
Yeah.
essentially, I found previous trail work that was done here. I'm going by memory right now, but essentially there was some kind of trail maintenance that was done, and they were like near wetlands and everything, and some of the abutting landowners, I think, voiced concerns that there was not any permitting done, and the newspaper interviewed someone from DEP who essentially said that that they trusted the judgment of the Conservation Commission when developing the plan, and MACC, the handbook, it says something about how that you didn't need to permit trail work like this, but that you should hold a public hearing to get, public input on any concerns related to it. I think the only way permitting would be needed is if we were, doing something that would be outside of just Wetlands Protection Act stuff, and like, if you were like altering a stream, I think that sort of thing would probably need to be permitted, above and beyond Wetlands Protection Act anyway. But
so that little piece that we're talking about rerouting, that does not go through a wetland, it goes around a wetland. So that wouldn't qualify as what you're talking about.
Oh, the section where it's
The
like
long grassy piece.
extremely wet. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess I can't say for sure whether that is a wetland or not, that it's going through.
But if we're not putting fill in there like rock, it wouldn't matter. I mean, if we're increasing protections to resource areas, then
Yeah.
okay.
And what Fletcher and I were, when we were out there looking at it, we were just thinking of like a punch in, like over, kind of bridging from the existing trail over to the other trail that's already kind of existing in the woods back there.
Gotcha. And then upgrading existing bridges or whatever.
Yeah, or adding bridges where there are a couple of crossings. So then people are not walking in the streams where they are walking in the streams now.
Okay,
Or
gotcha.
filling them with sticks, as they seem to like to do there.
Yeah, there's a
Right.
lot where they're like filling sticks in the stream so they can cross it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one other consideration that I'm not totally clear on the best way to handle is that, this is a major, well, I assume it's a major equestrian area based on some of the signs left behind on the trail that I see a lot when I go there. And, I don't think they want to take horses across like bog bridges, for example, or stepping stones. I personally don't see an issue if they weighted the streams when they're full or when they're dry. So it seems to me if we just enabled foot traffic across, and then the horses could kind of go their way beside that, I think that'd be fine, but I'd like to hear if other people think that that could work, or if there's maybe some other things we should be thinking about, because clearly the horses are going across sometimes there's only one way and it's over a bridge, like around point 2, maybe a little before that. But in most places, it seems like we could leave an option for foot traffic versus equestrian use. And then there's also let's see, so it's a cross-country ski area as well, I think.
Yes, it is.
And yeah, so like, again, leave a lane for them. There'd be snow across these streams at that point anyway.
Right.
So I don't think we need to account for skiing across these structures that we may or may not install. So those are my two sort of outstanding thoughts on the putting these in the multi-use.
I just saw that Lincoln is here now, and I'm not sure when you joined. Hi.
About 5 minutes ago.
Okay.
Sorry, I just got in from work.
Oh, no problem.
Oh, good.
Thanks for being here. I know Fletcher had a question, number 1, where I think a question for you specifically, I guess, that I think you said that you had filled in with like stone on the trail. Fletcher can get the picture up here. It's like towards the beginning of the trail.
Can you?
Yes.
It's up on my screen. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this goes back probably 20 or 30 years. Between that mud hole that you have in the picture right there and the stream, there's a bunch of crushed stone that you can't see now because it's been covered by vegetation and fine material, mud, I guess. That was done with a grant, and I can't remember where the grant came from, but the stewardship program has told us that no, they won't fund anything like that anymore, if indeed they were the ones that funded it to begin with. And unfortunately, we probably should have put one more load in there, and that would have prevented that mud hole that is right there. It doesn't look too bad in this picture, but during a wet year like last summer, it was pretty muddy.
And Lincoln, can you tell us if before you filled in the rest, was it similar to this in that it got muddy, kind of inundated at times?
Not really, because all the mud had washed away into the stream through years of use for recreation, harvesting, farm, the traffic between fields with a tractor, and it was a gully. So from what you have shown there to the stream, there was not much fine material left. There was maybe some hard pan at the bottom and some rocks, but the level of what you would walk on was probably 6 inches or a foot lower than it is now.
Got it.
And
So you brought that
what
up.
we did
Okay.
is we brought the level of it up to be closer to the original level of the land. And what we had hoped is the water would no longer run down the road, because what was happening is every time it rained, the road had become a drainage ditch, and it would just go right down.
Lincoln, is there like a hydrological connection between either side of the road? Was water flowing across the road there, or is this just high water table? Or
I think that the road is trying to continue to function as a drainage ditch, but the crushed stone that we put in there has blocked it. And I don't think that either are a natural condition. I think it would probably be better if that material, that water there, just if we cut a notch in the side of the trail and the water could drain off into the surrounding woods instead of going down the trail. So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
I guess I was wondering, so if we put stone there kind of to act as like a shallow ford, say, would that work? Or I mean, is water coming up from the ground, or is water coming from the surface?
I think anytime it rains, it washes down the road into that mud puddle and then it stops. But it's also, I think the trail there is just a little bit lower than the surrounding land. So the surface flow and a little bit of the subsurface flow from the surrounding land gets into that mud hole. And,
so it's a soil compaction issue. It's just collecting surface water runoff. It's not like there's wetlands on either side of the road.
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
I mean, there could be bordering vegetated wetland. I think it's kind of a borderline thing, because you see a lot of red maple there, but you also see white pine and oak, and so I don't think it's clearly one or the other, though I think you could probably make that determination. Where exactly it would fall, I don't know.
I think off to the left in this picture, which is the west, there is BVW, like fairly close by, but it is down a embankment. It looked like when I was there. Travis, does that sound right to you?
Yeah, I think so. Like the road is higher than the wetland, is what you're saying.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Lincoln, do you think that would be a good solution? Would just be to add more of that stone in there? And
I think so. I think the solution would be is to intercept the surface runoff that's coming from further up the trail and divert it so that it goes into the woods, so that it doesn't run down the trail anymore. And if it were crushed stone, any subsurface flow that's coming through from the land to the right would be able to continue to across the road in between the stones, you know, and instead of getting ponded up there. So I think that would approximate what the water flow did originally before there was a road there, you know, 150 years ago or whatever.
Mhm. And I know Fletcher had a question about whether it was all just like larger stone, or if you put like smaller crushed stone on top.
Yeah, I was going to let the
No,
sort of
it was all
hydrology
the
questions
same
pass, but
size. You know, 1 to 3 inch in that range, crushed stone, all that size evenly throughout.
got it. Okay, so scratch the if we were to go with the same plan, scratch the crushed stone. And was it compacted any more than just sort of filled and maybe driven over, or?
That's all that happened. It was filled, and I believe it was driven over.
Mhm.
And then it was still loose when we first put it in. It was like walking on where you see a walkway, you know, in between boards or something, and it was still pretty loose. And I was kind of worried, gee, this doesn't really feel all that good. But over time, it has filled right in with the mud getting in between the stones, and has firmed up that path. So you just don't notice the stone at all now.
Yeah, was there any feedback from equestrians, assuming they were still using it at that time? I feel like a horse might struggle. I don't really ride horses often, but with that larger 1 to 3 inch stone, or am I maybe picturing it bigger than it really is?
You might be right, but I'm in the same boat as you. I don't really ride horses, and I don't know.
My sister does, and I go with her. I've never seen that an issue with them, although I can consult with her. She's been riding for 30 years, rough trail. So I can ask her, but I don't think it's been an issue. We actually have taken her out to Montague Plains, and there's areas that are total stone and horses that go right over it. But I could confirm that.
We did not, at the time, we did not have any feedback from equestrian folks.
Got it. And Lincoln, do you know, I don't know if you know this term, or the rough base I'm familiar with is called like TRG is what road crews will call it often. Do you know if that is what was used, or?
That to me is larger.
Okay, maybe that's where my
TRG, trap rock gravel. I think that's what it stands for. This is more like something you'd see, you know, a walkway. The stone was crushed granite. You know, you could see the color in the stone, and it was something that you could put in a fancier use, I think, you know, a walkway leading up to an office or a house or something like that.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. I think I had another question. Oh, Lincoln, I know there's a gate from the parking lot, and you know, we were thinking like, this seems easy enough. Fletcher has a truck. We could just load it up with stone and drive it back there and dump it. But I don't know about getting through that gate, and if I assume it's locked, and I don't know.
It's not.
It's not? Okay.
It's just really difficult to open. And so nobody does it. It's too much like work. The post that holds the gate up is not anchored super securely. So you have to lift up at the same time you're opening the gate, and the darn thing is heavy. So you usually, you know, 2 people is a whole lot better to open that than 1. But
Got it.
I think your plan is okay. You could do that.
Mhm. Okay.
Got it.
Yeah, and I think just having the gate there, probably most people assume that it is locked and they don't even
Yes.
don't even go look at it.
Mm.
I guess now we just broadcasted it to everyone, but it's not, but that's okay.
I'd be happy to consult with one of the horse barns or what is too big for horses, because if it is heavily used by horses, I think some rocks they don't like to go over because they get stuck in the frog in their hooves. But
Mm.
she said 1 to 3. She says it's pretty big. That's what she just wrote me. 1 to 3 seems pretty big. I wouldn't
Yeah,
like them to be on it.
3 inches is why I was thinking TRG, but Lincoln, is it possible it was maybe like 1 to 1 3/4 or around
Yeah,
there, or-
that is possible too. I was trying to pull that out of my memory and I'm not really sure. But
no problem. Yeah.
just an estimate is that there was a lot of stuff that was 1 or 2 inches
Mhm.
diameter.
Okay.
I would say you've remembered it quite admirably if it was 30 years ago, 30 plus years
Agreed.
ago.
No kidding. She says the smaller the better. That's what she wrote about the horses.
Okay.
All right.
Got it.
Smaller the better.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Lincoln, did you catch the rest of the rundown of our issues? Aside from this tree, this area, I think you might have covered that with Travis on a walk, maybe.
It's like a
Does that
very
sound-
long, wet, grassy area.
that receives like
And-
some type of vehicle traffic.
Could you show it on the map?
Yeah.
Yeah, if I
Um,
could see it on the map, that would be great.
So it's right here,
Right
and I
there.
can show you on the trail
Oh,
map.
yes,
in a
yes,
sec.
yes. That's
Yeah.
right at the south side of that old field that's grown in. Yes.
Yep. Yep. So it'd be right. Yep. Right around here.
Yeah.
Mhm. So we were thinking there was sort of like a trail that's been started parallel on this right side here.
Yes.
So we were thinking that this area of vegetation right here, which is sort of this strip in this picture, we could bridge that,
Yep.
and then just
like
sort of
like a punch-in or something, just like laying over top.
Yep.
and then sort of reconnect to that semi-existing trail there, and you pop out beyond the end of the wet area here.
Right.
Only challenge maybe being like directing people that come from this left side, the trail connection, to show them like, don't take a left over here, but go straight. But I don't imagine that would be too hard with some decent signage right here.
Yeah, I think that, or put it laying some boards across the trail to show that it goes up to what is now the bank.
Mhm.
And but sure, I think that's a good idea to have kind of a bog bridge plan there.
Mhm.
Just put some boards that are slightly elevated off of the soil,
Mhm.
because I think if you just allow people to walk right on the surface of the soil there, it will eventually squish down and become just like the problem area. But if you keep them on the boards and distribute their weight a little bit better, I think you could keep them up out of the mud and keep the area from getting muddy.
Right. Agreed. Yeah, it'd be great to see this strip of ferns in the wet season to kind of see how wet it does get. But I agree, it's probably a good idea to bridge it either way.
Yeah.
Happens to be kind of dry right now.
Fletcher, can you go back to the
Yep.
previous photo of like the wet area? Lincoln, I think I just remembered, I think you said that there were like tire tracks through here, and I was thinking that you said it might have been from you being out there at some point on some kind of vehicle.
Yes, I think it's very likely that some of the tire tracks were from our ATV, which we used when we were doing invasive plant control,
Mhm.
whenever that was, 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago.
And so that's really the only like vehicle traffic that goes through there is your ATV, I think, is the only.
Yeah, and it's not like we're not regular commuters there. Probably if we're going to use vehicles to access that the back area, it would be better to go to the next road south and climb up that ridge in the back as opposed to go through this. So down by 6, yeah.
Mhm.
I think there it's still possible to go down there, and then you could access the whole ridge between 6 and 2,
Mhm.
and avoid going across 3.
Got it. Yeah, I guess I didn't really think about what traffic that would be, but if it's just that, um, yeah, six is actually another crossing of a wet area. It's pretty
Okay.
extensive actually.
Hmm.
But it looks like there's some reroutes possible over some much narrower channels, but I don't know that. So if, as far as traffic goes, I guess maybe I was assuming like forestry equipment or something for any forestry, but if there's no sort of like anything to do with the fields, do we want to sort of like plan for that? Are you just thinking for like future invasive work, Lincoln, of sort of keeping a
I think
path?
there'd be
Or
a number of reasons to go out there with a vehicle,
okay,
and one of them might be if you have a trail that goes through a more open area and you need to mow it occasionally. It used to be that those trails were mowed every year with a tractor. I think the trees have grown large enough and it's shady enough, so maybe that's not necessary now, but
oh, do you mean brush, like brush hogged
brush hog, yes.
Oh, okay.
If you need to get a piece of equipment out there to, let's say there was a whole lot of blowdown or something and you needed to get a tractor out there to clear the trails.
Mhm.
Invasive work is another possible use. And then harvesting, if we do any more of that. I
Mhm.
think for harvesting, the best scenario would be to go maybe not right at 6, but somewhere in between 3 and 6. You get more of a not really. I think you can avoid the wet drainage if you go through the middle there. We've successfully done that in the past. And so I think going around 3, which has always been a problematic area to
Mhm.
try to get big equipment through. So we've gone other places, and generally with harvesting, if you come to a wet area or a stream crossing, you would use something portable, one of those pre-manufactured 8x8 timber bridges or something like that,
Mhm.
that you'd plunk in there and then take it out at the end of the job.
Got it.
And I get, so my reason for asking that about the traffic through there was, whether we also wanted to consider just building like a bog bridge along the whole length of that wet area, like instead of rerouting it, just
Mhm.
build something 100 feet long that crosses the whole thing.
Yeah, not necessarily leave a lane
It could still be kind of like on the
off the side.
side a
Mhm.
little bit, because then like horses could go through or whatever. on one
But,
side.
well, my suggestion would be to not do any planning there right at 3 for any sort of equipment crossing or equipment use.
Got it.
Just because there are better places to go.
Mhm.
And the maintenance of that, if you put some kind of wood in there that's heavy enough to support a vehicle, then it's going to cost a lot because it's got to be substantial size, and then it's going to rot. And so you'll have maintenance issues. And we don't really need it. I think there are better places to put equipment access, and not necessarily on the hiking trail. Having equipment access and hiking trails at different locations generally is a good idea, because the hikers don't get displaced and the people using the equipment don't get displaced. They have different maintenance issues, and there are different specs to maintain a vehicle trail as opposed to a hiking trail. So I think there are better places to put that equipment access.
Got it. Okay,
It's
so,
not a
so some
pressing,
options there.
it's
then.
not a pressing issue either, I think, compared to the recreation issue. I think you want to solve that sooner.
I'm wondering if Rachel or Kristen have any comments. I feel like Fletcher and I have been talking a lot about this because we just went out there on Saturday, so it's kind of fresh in our minds. But just thought I would see if there were any other comments.
I'm just noticing there, it looks like, I don't think I can annotate, but it looks like possibly to the northeast of where Fletcher had photo 5, that pocket of water is maybe a potential vernal pool. But I'm not sure. I'm just pulling up Mass Mapper right now. So
Yes,
just
right
wanted to
here.
point that out. We don't want to disrupt any hydrology.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a vernal pool there. It's off of the trail. It's quite a ways off. So the trail doesn't really interact with it at all.
Is this blue pocket to kind of like to the northeast of 5? Is that in a field or just outside of a field? Is there
Just outside of it. It's just into the woods.
Yeah, so that's a potential vernal pool.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty far off the trail. That's all I've got. And then I already made my other thoughts public, so I'm good. All you, Rachel.
No comments are fine too.
I don't think I have any other comments. I mean, I think it's important to, as low impact as possible with all of these wet crossings. So I'm interested in looking at the different bridge designs, and I think, or crossing designs. I think having a public hearing where we look at those designs and come up with a selection based on what we think is least impact is a good strategy.
Yeah.
But I'm not terribly familiar with the trails out there, so.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is number 5 the backside, like against that fence in that big field? Is that what 5 is? They're in like the back. There's a fence line. There's like even a deer stand in the tree.
No.
Oh, no. That's on the abutters property.
Where the
Yeah,
trails
this is
lead
number
right
5.
to it. Okay. I'm a little confused.
Across
maybe-
the white area.
Over here, maybe.
I see. Yeah, but the trails go right through that, right?
Yes. The
Oh,
abutter
okay.
gave the town permission to locate the trail through there.
Okay, and then they have a fence there
Yes.
anyway. Nobody can
Oh,
go
you mean
there.
here?
And
Okay.
That's it right there. Okay, I see.
Yep.
All right. That's just
Yep.
orienting myself. Thank you.
That's where the
Lincoln-
deer stand is, yeah.
Lincoln,
Yes,
do you
okay.
know, is there like, there isn't like an official easement or anything for that trail, is there? It's just like,
There was some kind of an agreement, and now
Mhm.
I'm not going to display my ignorance and say that it's an easement or not, because some lawyer would
yeah,
correct me, but there's some sort of agreement between the town and Dick Parks for locating the trail there. The nature of it, I can't remember. Well, maybe I never knew to begin with, but I know there is some sort of agreement.
I guess that would be good for us to figure out, figure out exactly what it is. So
Yeah.
we'll know, if properties change hands in the future and,
Yeah,
how that, I mean, at least there is the other trail that goes all the way around it, but.
Yeah, maybe good if it's not something that physically exists, if it's a word of mouth thing. Maybe we seek to get it in writing. That might be a good thing.
I know, well, just as a FYI, he has had trouble in the past with people walking their dogs off leash, getting into his field and chasing his cattle around. And to the point where he stopped putting his cattle out in that field because it was just so problematic for him to have to chase after them after they stampeded and broke through the fence and so forth. So it might be politic to figure out a way to keep the dogs out. If you were going to him to ask for
I see.
something in writing.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I don't know what, I haven't seen him in a couple of years, so I don't know what he's up to in terms of farming.
Got it.
I
Alright.
also just wanted to add one more thing.
Sure.
Do we still have those bat boxes that are earmarked for this conservation area? Would that be part of some of the trail maintenance that those would be installed?
Yeah, we should have those.
So unless anybody had any other kind of segues here, I was interested to see on what Rachel said about types of structures. Travis and I had kind of been focusing on, bog bridges or sort of some type of steps embedded in spaced out across these crossings. But, I'd be great to hear if anybody had other suggestions or ideas about what sort of the best way to span, I shouldn't say span, but to sort of provide a foot crossing across some of these would be. In my experience, those two ways are potentially the lowest impact, depending on how they're built. And we have timber from that tree that's down right now that could be used potentially as like sleepers across to attach boards to for the bog bridges. So that would be a nice sort of reuse. But yeah, if people have other suggestions, I can, pull together some examples. Yeah.
I'm working on another project in Shutesbury at the Ames Pond Conservation Area for Kestrel Land Trust, and they're using Great Northern Docks. I have no
yeah.
affiliation
familiar
with
with
that
them.
company, but they
Yeah.
have a really informative website if you wanted to use volunteers to make our own, field collected hardware. They have a really informative website. We can maybe pirate some of their
Nice.
designs, but they do bog bridges and punch-in and stuff like that.
And they, just from their kiosk at some conferences I've been to, they specialize in sort of like very durable sort of bridges and across things. Is that right? And like sort of ways to anchor them to the ground that are like metal or resilient, or is that right, or is there
They
more
have
to them
different
than that?
kinds. So if
Okay.
it's a real bog bridge, they have different kinds. They have, plastic PVC pipes and metal
Oh, yeah.
pipes and whatever, with, concrete footings or not.
Mhm.
But they also have just details on punch-in, that kind of thing.
Got it. Okay. Cool. I'll check that website out.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that if we, if we're looking at like potential bridges and things like that, for, like the stream crossings that, I don't know, we haven't really talked about that much as like the wet areas, but the Forest Service has this whole website where they have like you can download like AutoCAD drawings and PDFs of like all these different bridge, like trail bridge designs and things like that.
Oh yeah, and the DCR had something too. I think I put that on the Google Drive like last
Yeah.
year, but they use volunteers to construct footbridges and punch-ins, and they have very rough details in that PDF, but that's the resource.
Yeah, and if it's the same one that I was looking at, they also list a lot of different sources to get more information from as well.
Cool.
With the Forest Service being one of those.
Oh, cool.
So there are numerous resources out there. Like the Appalachian Trail organization has like bridge designs and things like that, and
Yeah. So that would be, Travis, you're saying for like the stream crossings, like an actual span option, basically.
yeah, things like that. And yeah, and I mean, like, the punch-ins and things like that are extremely simple. Or they can be extremely simple. So
Are we deciding on any of this tonight? Or is
I
this
don't-
just a presentation to discuss what's needed?
yeah, I don't think we're deciding tonight because I wonder if, we were talking about like the Boy Scouts said that they might be interested in building bridges and things like that. And I wonder if we should, Fletcher and I went out there and we kind of measured how big a bridge would need to be to span, these stream crossings and things. And I wonder if we should start with, like, I don't know if they want to do a little bit of the design too, like
Right.
we can kind of let them know all these resources and
Do we have
In
to
our
like
general.
put out an RFP and then take a competitive offer, or like how do we, what is our
Yeah.
next step with this?
I don't
This
think we need to
process?
go that far, but
Okay.
no, my understanding is if it's I don't know the exact number, but I think if it's less than like $5,000 that we wouldn't need to all right, thanks, Lincoln.
thank you. Yeah.
All right, take care.
All right. That we don't have to do an RFP or anything like that. And it sounds like a lot of what we might want to do could be volunteer work to do it. And we do have the reserve fund that has money in it from previous logging on the property. And I actually tried contacting the city finance department today and didn't get a response. And so I sent an email basically asking what the process is for that. But I believe all that we have to do is, vote to appropriate money from that fund, and then that goes to city council, and then city council has to vote to appropriate the funds.
Oh, okay. So are we looking for a motion to appropriate funds?
I don't think
Is
I
that
don't think
where we're
so.
at?
I don't think we're there yet because I mean, what we had discussed was having a public hearing first. I think
To
we
get
should
public
have
comment.
yeah, and we could have made this a public hearing, but we didn't. And it would have been exactly the same, but
Okay,
we just listed it as like a discussion.
okay.
I wonder if, so we have a few groups that have expressed interest. Is it worth sending out sort of some of this documentation, or we could revise it a bit to see, because we were talking, Travis, about like allowing people some creative input, maybe just giving very general specs, like, we want sort of minimal impact, nothing, no like, we don't need highways across the crossings, but
Right, it's not meeting accessibility standards, but like, what's our
Right,
action
right.
item here? What are we
yeah,
doing?
we're getting foot
Yeah.
traffic across, and so yeah, I think if they are definitely showing interest, we could send them descriptions of the issue, and then they could send us this is something we're interested in, here are some suggestions, and we can look at that and maybe schedule a public hearing with that in mind, and they will hopefully show up for that.
Or give us feedback beforehand, I guess.
Right, and we can present their feedback. Yeah.
So I think tonight we were all just trying to like get on the same page about what we wanted to do. And
Yep.
then I don't even think we need to vote on anything. Like,
I don't.
If, I don't know, Fletcher, if you would feel comfortable, you getting some of this maybe to Mitch, and then Mitch could send it.
Yeah.
And I mean, we could kind of make I don't know if you, in your, like, the site photos, if you had written, like, for the stream crossings, like the 4 and 5 stream crossings, if you had like
there's
length.
distances, and
Okay.
yeah, so just between the pictures and the distances, I think they should be able to sort of estimate what they would like to do or not do.
Yeah,
some of
and
the- yeah, go ahead.
sorry, go ahead. Oh, I was just gonna say, we could, offer to, do a site visit with them,
Right.
or one of us could meet them out there to point it out if they wanted to see it in person.
Yep, and hopefully
Do-
with this map, they should be able to get out there on their own as well, if they
Yeah.
just wanted to do that. So
Is there, so I assume a bunch of you on this commission have, or some of you, it sounds like one of you, McDonough, or what's your name?
Kristen?
Kristen, do you have a wetland specialist, or you something like that? Sounds like
I am a professional wetland scientist.
That's what I figured. But I'm wondering, oh God, where was I gonna go with this? I think that your bog bridge ideas, Fletcher, are great. Do you ever use the Youth Conservation Commission to help you work on, or what is it? Was it CCC, or?
I think that's what the
Volunteer
DCR
group?
uses. I forget what they're called too, but I think I know what you mean, and that's what the DCR uses. And that PDF that I put on our Google Drive, it's like a student volunteer group.
Yeah.
or something like
SCC,
that.
Yes.
AmeriCorps.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, they're
I think
based.
it is
They're
that.
based in Holly. At least the
Okay.
closest I know is
Yes,
based in
that's,
Holly. And
yeah.
yeah, no, they definitely. I think they. I think for them, they want to look at a project and see if it's sort of like worth their.
The whole summer.
Yeah, I don't know if they need one project per summer or whatever, but just worth them coming in to sort of apply if it fits into like what they're doing on their scale and their skills. So
Right.
I don't know if this would meet that criteria or not, but yeah, that's that's
And my
definitely a
next
group that
question
knows.
is,
Yeah, go ahead.
like, do any of you, or have any of you gone to like a trail building school? It
I
would
have
be
not.
incredibly beneficial. NEMBA runs them, Forest Service runs them. The mountain bike group, you could pay somebody to just go to, it's not too expensive to go to, but it's I don't know if it's 2 or 3 days or a weekend, and they have a professional come in. I don't know if it's from the Forest Service or somebody that is a professional in trail building. They teach you how to build these trails, what's right for certain locations, and how to avoid erosion issues when you do put trails in, and how, whether you're digging or not digging, or, I mean, a lot of people down with the mountain bikers, it's wrong. A lot of them do just rake and ride, and that's not really not the way to do trails. But you should consider one of these trail schools for someone on this group. It would be really beneficial to you. Knowledge base, what you can and can't do, or what would be best practice for a trail, like you're talking about gravel. And I know people have placed gravel out in the Deerfield range without telling them, and that it doesn't last. I guess it depends on what it's going on, right? If whether it's wet or whether it's dry or whether it's roots, whatever. But the trail school is really, really good. And as someone mentioned here, I think Krista mentioned the Forest Service. There's a whole book on, you can copy it online, I think, on trail building and what's right and what's wrong and what's going to cause you problems 2 years down the road. But again, mountain bike groups are very big in that, and they offer trail building schools, and you go up to KT, Kingdom Trails, but same for hiking. Some of them are hiking trails, some of them are horse trails up there. So it would fit the bill if somebody went to that and were trained. And would, I think you might answer your own questions a lot more easily. And you could run a crew. A crew of volunteers, it's easy to run a crew of volunteers that way. But just a suggestion.
Yeah, I think for this project, sort of the scale of what we're trying to do is
It's small.
It's small. Yeah, we're not doing a lot of sort of trail modification as much as we are crossings.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping, we can make the user base happy by just kind of, again, getting some foot traffic across these and cleaning up the one wet area there. But yeah, I think any additional trail knowledge is certainly helpful. And
Is
so,
the
yeah,
one-
good suggestions.
Are you, there's the one longer bridge, right? Like the longer one
Yeah.
after shortly after you enter. And then there's one that's back in, I think as I looked at the map, it might've been closer to 5. Just a short little, must be like 6 feet, 10 feet even.
Yeah, right before this wet area, I think. You're saying that crosses the stream right after you enter
It's got
the
a
trails?
little, yeah, it's got a little valley. It's a little valley that goes upstream.
Not
it
not
was-
like not right at the beginning of the trail. Are you-
No,
Yeah.
it's back in before you go to the, it's a back one. It's before it connects to where the, you cross that land we were just talking about, somebody else owns, and they gave you a right to go across that. It's on that loop. There's a little bridge there. Did you go there? Or no?
I don't,
To look at the map again.
I can't think of the area you're
Yeah, I'm
talking about,
sorry.
but there's
Yeah, I'm sorry. My favorite way. That's why.
here's the other map. I don't
Yeah.
see an X on
Okay.
that area, but it's
I
hard
don't
to
see
X's
any
here.
X's.
I know.
Yeah.
I was wondering if maybe like this was an X here, but this, I think this is sort of like this isn't even the one, the kiosk for some reason. It's
Yeah.
it's an alternate version. So maybe
And does anybody leave dog bag? Is there a dog bag place there? Like where you take it? I mean, yes, people
There's
carry their
not,
own
no.
dog bags. Yeah.
I don't
And
think there's a trash can there.
Yeah, because I think
People throw their personal trash in it. That's why.
yeah, and I don't think like
Rude.
DPW would be going out there to empty the
Right.
trash or anything. So
Right. Yeah.
that'd probably be a volunteer job. Someone would have to go empty the
Go
trash.
empty the dog poop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, once we sort of engage more volunteers on our trail systems, it'd be great to have some volunteer monitors or whatever who regularly kind of help notify us of these things, and maybe that could include some of those additional duties. But I think, at this point where we've been doing a lot of wetland permitting and spending a lot of time on that, and we're really starting just to kind of dip our feet into some of the trail areas that we are responsible for. So
Can I not to hold you guys up much longer, but what are some of the other trail systems that you're looking at? Minus Highland,
Yeah.
because that's for the mayor.
Yeah,
Um,
so we also control Rocky Mountain Conservation Land, which is just
Oh.
north of
No, I know all the,
Poughkeepsie.
I know those trails like the back of my
Yeah,
hand.
and
Yep,
then,
yep. And there's a lot of stringing going on there.
And
But,
then on Canada Hill,
Yep. familiar with that.
that's conservation land too.
Are these
Well,
on our website? Are these on the Concom
Some
website?
some
Oh,
of
are
them
they?
are. Some
I'll
of
check
them
'em out.
are. I'm
All right.
so I'll add that I've started creating a template for new trail maps for all of our properties.
Mhm.
So hopefully at our next meeting, I'll be able to present some kind of draft of those.
I guess I didn't realize there's Highland Park and then there's Rocky Mountain on the other side. They're two separate entities, like they're owned by different, they're run by different.
It's actually very complicated because there's Highland Park that's like the
Wow.
lowland area. Temple
Well,
Woods is up above
right.
that. Then it's Rocky Mountain Park, and then it's
Ah.
Rocky Mountain Conservation Land, and
Wow.
then it's sitting on
Canada.
property that doesn't belong to anybody
Canada
right
Hill.
now.
Yeah,
And
but
then-
we should talk about that again soon.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So, Lillian Street Conservation Area, that's another
Mm.
one.
Lillian Street, never heard of it.
Yeah,
No.
it's like near.
Is it on Lillian Street?
It's on Lillian Street. Yeah,
I didn't know there was a Lillian Street. I'll look it up.
it's a very small street.
And how
there's
many
ac-
acres?
Oh, it's very small, but there are a
That's
lot of
fine.
like
Is it wet?
community. There are a lot of like community trails like that go on private property that,
Huh.
but like people, hike through those trails
Uh-huh.
too.
Uh-huh.
Uh, we have some. Oh, we also have some property. Conservation Commission has some property just north of the swimming area too, like between Murphy Park and the swimming area. That's conservation land with a trail.
Yeah, just south of the Christmas tree farm, right?
Yeah. So
Oh, there's land there. There's no trails there, right?
I think there's some like maybe
There's-
not very formal trails, but
Town of yeah, okay. I think I know where that is.
yeah.
Right before you get to Green River Road, or right there, that block of land, or no?
No, like if you were like in the swimming area, like where people are
Uh-huh.
swimming,
Get
and then
behind
just
it.
walk north.
Okay,
Walk north
I know.
from there. You
Yeah,
would hit
I
it.
think I've been there. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Huh.
So
All right.
anyway, we're trying to improve things and also
That's
let
great.
people
No.
know that they exist. So
Well, if
Yeah.
I can help in any way, volunteers or any, tools, or you
Yeah.
need some trees, a small job, I'm open to helping or whatever you need. It's great that you people are putting energy into it and spending the time at the meetings. I really appreciate it. So
Yeah, thanks for joining in and offering up some help
Yeah.
and some information. That's much
and we should
appreciated.
eventually, I guess you're going to keep going. You have other things to talk about, right? So
we might have a few things to talk about.
yeah, and we should connect, Fletcher, and I'll stay on for a little bit, but and figure out, just go out and do that tree. It's not a big deal.
Great. Yeah, and if you have photos of those attachments in the
I'm gonna send them to, somebody's been emailing me. Who is it? Mitchell?
Yeah, probably Mitch.
yeah.
He
Sorry.
sends
Yeah,
me-
that's me.
Okay, who is it?
He's our
Who's
agent.
Mitchell?
Mitchell Vi is our wetlands agent.
Oh, okay.
His
I-
name
He's
is
the one that's
Planning
been-
Department on
Like
here
letting me
right
know
That's
when
now.
the
me.
meetings happen. I'm sorry, he's what?
His name is
He's on planning
Planning.
department.
Yeah, well, that's what it says.
Oh,
on
I
here.
see that. Okay, but I appreciate the emails and keep me up to speed, but
I
yeah.
will do.
And I'll get pictures of that bridge set up and just send it to you, and you can always keep it as an option.
Great.
Great.
One other thing that I would add is that I'm not sure how big that tree is that's down that needs to be cut still, but we were thinking there are a couple wet areas where we were thinking about just cutting some like
Sure.
6-inch like cookies and just setting them down so people could have like little
Oh,
stepping stones across.
Yeah.
So-
how
I had
thick?
some
If that was possible.
thoughts on that,
Yep.
but I definitely would say, you can always cut it smaller, but we definitely, I think, might want to look at using some of those cuts as, again, sleepers, so cross pieces for like if we decide to go bog bridge route.
Right. Right.
So maybe if we could kind of keep that in mind, leaving it maybe that width if possible, and if you need help, sort of if that makes them heavy, we could potentially like help clear them after being cut. But I would say maybe focus on that size if possible. And we can always cut it down to cookie size if we're gonna go
Yeah,
that way.
I won't do it without you, so
Oh,
we'll
awesome.
talk.
Okay,
So, yeah.
great.
Okay. All right.
Thanks
Onward. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for these maps, Fletcher. This is obviously, and Travis, a lot of work went into this. Thank you.
Yeah, no, hopefully we can build out from here. We had a bunch of other points on here with those trees down, and some mystery steward cleared them, and so
Yeah.
they're gone. We'll adapt it as we find new stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, Fletcher, if you could like put together what you've got and send it to Mitch. One thing that I think would be good to add to your documents is just the idea that we're thinking about, creating some kind of like wooden signs with just like the conservation land names on them that we could put at the properties. Like, I think that way we would be giving, the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts like, here are some like bigger projects, or here are some like smaller projects, and all of them would be helpful. So anything you could do would be helpful.
We also have the sort of interpretive signage for this area that we were hoping to spruce up. That might need a little more information gathering, but that might be I don't know if that'd be a Boy Scout project as much as a.
I thought Lincoln was pretty knowledgeable about that stuff.
Is he up for the sort of the refresh there?
Yeah, so Fletcher wasn't at the site visit with Lincoln, but
okay, so that's already sort of rolling.
Yeah, he's supposed. We should have talked to him before he left, but he was supposed to be working on coming up with like a refresh of that, and maybe applying for like some grant funding too.
Awesome!
So he said by this fall, I think he was going to try to come up with something. So
yeah, he wanted to add more carbon sequestration dialogue.
I don't know if any of you have seen
the bird discussion and the forest community discussion. I really liked the existing information at the stations, and I think he just wanted to kind of, discard some of the outdated stuff like that snake basking area and the ruffed grouse dumping log, that those things
the
are
mystery signs, right?
Exactly. And then maybe incorporate some more carbon sequestration type dialogue. But he had a lot of ideas, and I thought he did such a great job on the first one. If he's interested, he would
let him do it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I think Ruth had a comment.
Ruth, did you have you were going to add something?
No, I was going to say, I don't know if you've ever been out on the Deerfield trails behind Eagle Brook.
Oh yeah,
on the Deerfield
I
trails.
have.
I don't know who made those signs for them. It was a year or two ago. A lot more signs has gone up there. Very sweet trail signs, very nice trail signs.
Like for
like trail names,
Fridge and Donut Blast type of thing.
Yeah, Fridge, Donut Blast, all those guys.
Artistic.
Those are pretty nice. I'm guessing somebody just put those on. I think they're engraved. Aren't they engraved? Everybody has
maybe
these,
some of them are.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Everybody has these machines that can do all that nowadays. So
yeah,
I don't know
those are cool.
Those are cool. They're nice signs. Just take a look at them.
Cool.
So I guess all of the action items are on Fletcher and Mitch right now. If you're both okay with that.
Sure. Yeah. I guess last thing I have to say on that is like, this is a pretty good representation of the information we have right now. I could expand a little bit on some things and add, for example, like the direction those photos are facing. But do people think maybe we should get a few more photos? Having been out there, I have context like in my head, but maybe like more angles of the projects, or do you think that's enough to send out?
I think that's probably enough to start. I mean, I don't think they're gonna like come up with a full design based on what we're gonna send them right now. And it would probably take some site visits and stuff anyway. So
cool. All right, I'll do a once over on this then and see if there's more to add, and then Yeah, and get it to Mitch.
I feel like that would at least give them an idea of what we're thinking of, and then see if that seems like something they could or want to do.
For
And
sure.
then if not, then we can go from there and figure out other ways of doing it.
Right. Okay.
And when I spoke to John about Boy Scouts doing stuff, I told him that we do have funding that we could use for like materials and stuff. And he was saying that it sounded like he's pretty good at getting people to donate materials to Boy Scout projects. So he might be able to do that, and we might not even have to spend that much money on things anyway.
Great. All right. Yeah, I'll get that to Mitch.
Cool.
One last question. Wasn't
Sure.
there a grant? Wasn't there a grant that was just gotten that I saw it on the Highland Park site that there's certain departments are all getting a certain little plunk of money to help. Do anybody know about any of this? Somebody put it on the Highland Park, on the Friends of Highland Park site, and said they want input because the town's looking for every department's going to get $20,000 or something.
Oh, yeah. That was me. I'm the one who posted that.
Oh, okay.
So that is the Community Preservation Act.
Okay. All right.
And there's essentially, so I'm the chair of that committee also. And
cool.
So the city passed the Community Preservation Act, which puts a 1% surcharge on property taxes, and then that money gets matched by the state at a certain percentage. And it has to be used for open space and recreation, historical preservation, and affordable housing. And there's a public hearing on Thursday at John's On at 5:30 p.m. if you would like to come and find out more about it and give public comments on how you think the money should be used.
Yeah, I'll try to make that. I'm prepping to leave somewhere, but I'll try to make that.
Okay. And then there's also there's a link on, if you go to the city's webpage and go to the Community Preservation Committee's webpage, you can leave a comment on a Google form online too if you can't make it.
Okay.
So anyway, that is a source of funding that can be used for open space and recreation projects.
Okay. Thank you.
So that is something that we should probably keep in mind, going forward. Typically it's, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, typically it can't be used for things that are like routine maintenance, but if there's like a big, like a big project to be funded, that can be utilized.
I know this isn't on your docket, but can someone point me in the right direction? The old golf course owned by some guy in Boston, is he getting a tax break supposedly under the guise of it's being used for recreation? And if it is, I don't see any public access.
I'm not there's a
I heard he was getting a big tax break. You says it's recreational use, but if it's recreational use, it has to be accessible to the public if the town's giving you a tax break.
Yeah, there is a provision in the Massachusetts law where, and it doesn't even have to be recreation. It could also be leaving it as a forest, I believe.
Chapter 61B maybe is what he has.
Well, but that's not a forested area. You have to have 10 or more acres of forested area. That's an open. That's an open floodplain. It's a floodplain now.
61B might be 5 acres. I'd have to double check, but
I don't know. But anyway, I don't know the details on that project on that property, but
I'm very curious about that.
Yeah.
Because if he's getting a tax break, then he needs to be doing it right, and somebody's not checking on him. I heard this guy. I heard a little. Well, whatever. You hear stuff, but there's only one way to do it: go to town hall and look it all up. And,
Okay. Does anyone have anything else on that agenda item? Okay, I do not hear anything. The next item on the agenda is Greenfield Wetlands Protection Ordinance Review, intermittent streams. I don't have anything to talk about on that one today. I don't know if anyone else does.
I would maybe just
Oh.
want to say, do we want to wait for Rachel and everyone, like a full commission, to be present to discuss that?
Yeah, well, and we also kind of said that we were gonna do this more in the winter, I think.
Right.
Do
Oh,
more of the
okay.
ordinance review in the winter. I
Yep.
think we were just kind of keeping it on the agenda in case we wanted to talk about it,
Oh, okay.
but that is what we said. Okay, so next on the agenda is discuss community preservation plan. Basically, I just put this on the agenda because I sent a link to the Community Preservation Committee's draft plan and upcoming public hearing, and you know, we're all free to leave public comments individually, but just in case anyone wanted to talk about it as the Conservation Commission, I put it on the agenda. I didn't have anything specific to talk about, but
Yeah, I still plan on reading that, and if I have comments, I will leave them. I've been away over the past most of the past week, so I haven't had a chance.
okay. And essentially what it is just outlining what the Community Preservation Committee thinks the priorities are for using Community Preservation Act funds in each of those categories. So there's a section on open space and how the committee believes the funding should be prioritized for open space and recreation. There's a recreation section too.
Got it.
So that's probably what you'd be most interested in.
Absolutely.
Just hold on, I'm gonna turn my light on because I just realized I'm like in the dark in this.
Yeah, I
room.
was
It's,
getting
like,
shaded out too.
Totally dark.
Oh, I don't even have any lights on. Now I look like I've got computer glare. Yeah. It's the lighting's all wrong in my office. I just realized the sun went down. Yeah, I have another meeting on Thursday night, so I won't be able to attend, but are you looking for a commission body letter?
No, it doesn't have, I don't
Okay.
think any other commission or anything has sent any kind of letter like that, but just in case anyone wanted to, I put it on the agenda. It's not my agenda that we do that, so
Got it.
that's all I had to say about that.
Okay.
Mitch, are there any enforcement updates?
Yeah, we closed one out at 123 Verde.
Nice.
Got the photographic evidence,
Great.
Is that
the rock wall.
cool?
Do you have a photo to share?
Yeah, I can share that.
Sorry, Fletcher, go ahead.
Oh no, that's all I was gonna say. Is I was poking around in that folder. I just didn't see it.
I figure Mitch knows where it is. I'll let him find it.
Yeah.
Oh, and Mitch, thanks for doing all the links in like the upcoming meeting folder.
Yeah, that's so fancy. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Yeah, that's
I
great.
thought that was pretty standard. I thought the other agents were doing that.
There was
think
copies being
were-
made before.
Yeah, it was kind of off and on. Like sometimes there'd be copies and sometimes there'd be links.
The example I saw was doing it, so
And everything's
Oh.
changing so fast, you know,
Yeah.
and by the
Yeah.
month, the technology is flying so quickly.
Before I forget, I don't know if there's a way to do this like across the drive, Mitch, but our old chair, John, still has permission on a lot of these folders,
Oh, yeah.
and obviously not a priority
want me to kick him
item.
out?
If you could kick him out at some
Probably
point,
should.
yeah. Even though I'd love to hear his feedback on
Sorry,
this stuff, you know.
John,
Yeah,
in case
Use
he's
the,
watching this.
the rocks.
And were there supposed to be 3 per lot? I forget.
I think just 2.
Oh,
I think-
okay.
Yeah, 2 is the
There's
number
2
I
on the
remember.
plan.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think what we had talked about before was that at a different lot where there was a riverfront area, I think there were 3 rocks on that
Oh.
one.
Here's the seed mix they used.
Okay.
And this is just what I sent.
What is going
Okay.
on with this?
So that seed mix doesn't have scientific names. Was that one of the conditions that we asked in the enforcement order?
You just said
Uh,
seed mix, I think.
Okay, we
I
just
think
wanted to see
Conservation
it.
seed mix.
Conservation seed mixes, I think what we said.
And natives, do we specify native species?
That was
Probably.
said, but I don't know if it was written. I think it,
I mean,
which is something in there not besides the Kentucky,
no, I mean,
or is that a native?
That's
a weird
like-
name?
whatever. I think that's just
Mm.
POA, right? But boreal creeping red fescue, the Festica rubra, maybe a variant, may not be listed specific. I have no idea
I don't
because
know.
these are colloquial names. I
Mm,
don't know,
yeah.
but I don't know. Where is it from? It's not from, it's
Says
from an
Vermont.
agricultural service.
I know we've talked about this, but do we want to, and I'm afraid I wouldn't be a lot of help on this one, but put together like I don't want to start, and I don't know that we even could promote any vendors in particular, but we could have maybe an internal list of like products that work, and I don't know how we would pass that info on to applicants, but at least we could say like that's not on there or something. I don't know how to
We
do-
have,
or a species list, maybe just a species list.
there
would be-
is a species list. It's a county checklist of Massachusetts, I think. I forget what it's
Mhm.
called. I've got it in my employee folder. I can put that on the Google Drive. But
Mhm.
it's a publication. It's free and it has a county checklist and it has
Cool.
all of the species in Massachusetts listed as either native, introduced, or invasive, and
Mhm.
whether they're present, native, absent, or invasive in every county in Mass. I'll pop that on the Google Drive.
Got it. And is there a distilled version that might be easier for applicants to sort of comb through with maybe even some, I don't know if common names would just confuse the issue, but at least the sort of the positive side of it, like what you can, or the natives only, for example.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's hard to say like go to vendor X because
Oh, no,
they
I don't mean
only deal
vendor,
with
I
native
just-
species, but
Yeah.
there are certain seed mixes that are better than others.
Got it, yeah.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I kind of think red fescue is something that's considered introduced but not invasive. I
Mm-hmm.
can't remember off the top of my head.
Maybe what we should do in the future is just say that we have to approve the seed mix. Like
Yeah.
we need to see what it is before. I don't think we did that
And
this
then-
time. I think we just said
Okay,
put down a conservation seed mix, and that was
Right.
all we said.
gotcha.
Yeah, and
Okay.
maybe like if Mitch has access to the list that Kristen is uploading now, and could potentially check, we could give him sort of like administrative approval privilege to go ahead and just do that in the background, so to speak, so it doesn't hold people up for another meeting necessarily, if that seems reasonable.
I think that sounds reasonable. Hey, Mitch, where do you want me to pop this on the drive?
Good question. You
What
always
would that
email it to
be?
me.
Okay, I'll just do that.
Okay.
It's and it's called, let me just open this PDF. I want to remember I think it's Sorry et al. Crap, I can't remember. Hang on.
Mhm.
Now that I'm running Zoom, it's going to open really slow. Oh my gosh, I still have the spinning wheel. Here we go.
Mhm.
Uh-oh.
The Vascular Plants of Massachusetts, a county checklist. And it is by, and this is 2011. And this is a pretty regularly referenced document in Mass by the DEP and Natural Heritage. And it is by, yeah, Dow Kulina, Melissa Dow, Kalina, Brian Connolly, Bruce Sorey, and Paul Summers. I knew Sorey was in there somewhere.
I think maybe the place for that is administrative documents guidance.
Okay.
That seems to be where we have similar things.
All right, cool. But I use that all the time whenever I'm checking seed mixes for Mass DOT or whatever. I'll make sure it's kosher by comparing it to that.
Great.
Yeah, and so I guess what we could do for future, future conditions would just be say that they need to submit a seed mix with native plants to be approved by the conservation agent prior to seeding, I guess.
Okay.
Something like that. Just, we can keep that in the back of our minds. All right, well, that's nice. We get to check one off the list there. So next on the agenda is project monitoring, correspondence, and site visit scheduling. Is there anything to update in there?
I don't have any updates.
Okay. I'm really curious about the center school, like what it looks like out there, and I want to see the not for any like regulatory purposes, but just because I'm curious. I want to see what things look like. I'm sure they would I'm sure I could go inspect it if I wanted to.
So they haven't gotten a certificate of compliance yet?
No, I said that they're on the agenda. It says that it's open until 2023, or they have until 2023 for the NOI. Oh, I just lost our agenda. I have too many things open. Center school. Oh yeah. February 11th, 2023 is when their order of conditions expires. Oh, there was something else I thought I was going to say. Oh, I just wanted to note, Mitch, make sure you note in the minutes that Rachel left the meeting at 7:42 p.m.
Okay.
I just didn't say that when I think we were all talking at the time, and just want to make sure that happened. All right, well, that is the end of our agenda. So if there are no objections, we will adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All right, motion by Kristen, seconded by Fletcher. No discussion on a motion to adjourn. I guess we'll do a roll call vote since we have to. Kristen?
Aye.
Fletcher?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. So we are adjourned at 8:25 p.m.
Got it.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Okay. Good night.